Hey everyone, this is Stan with TopSurfer.com. It is Wednesday, June 14th, and it's time for Stan's Tip of the Week. So this week I wanted to talk to you about basically when you sell a product, you have to have some type of payment system. You have to have some way to collect payment. There's all kinds of options out there. So I kind of wanted to just give you my opinion on a few of them. What things I've experienced over the years. Of course, there is the old fallback. You can basically have somebody send you a check or a money order in the mail. That one usually doesn't go over that good. In the past, um, 15 years that I've been doing that, I have offered that option that people can send checks, and I think I've gotten about 5 of them. Actually, I've told them they need to send a money order, and I've probably gotten about 5 to maybe 6 or 7. But yeah, so it's not really the best way, but there's all kinds of other ways to accept money online, and one of them is Payza. Now, we currently do accept Payza. Payza has stung me in the past, and I'm trying to let that go, and I'm trying to give them a second chance. Their customer service is kind of hard. It's hard to get a hold of somebody and get a good response within a few days. But Payza is an option that's out there, and we do use them at Top Surfer. The one that's really stung me the worst was PayPal. Of course, PayPal's out there. You've got to be really careful what you're selling on PayPal. They just assumed that we were multi-level marketing, and they froze us up. And so after we originally started with PayPal, and then PayPal, there was some other companies like Top Surfer that was doing some major MLM, multi-level marketing, and they froze everybody who had anything to do with them. And so, I said, that's fine. Give me my money, and I'm happy, and I'll go start accepting credit cards instead. And that's when I started getting into accepting credit cards. And that was about what, 10 years ago, something like that. So, so then a couple of years later, I asked PayPal. I went back to them and I said, "Hey, you guys kind of had, some really bad customer service a few years ago. You weren't really giving people a break and checking their site individually. You just basically blanket, killed everyone's accounts and didn't really, do a good way of scrutinizing it properly. Will you look over my website and tell me if this website is acceptable with PayPal?" They sent me an email back and said, "Yeah, everything looks great with Top Surfer. Go ahead and add PayPal back to it." So I did. About 4 years went by, and I contacted PayPal and I said, "Hey, I understand you guys have merchant card services. I want to be able to accept credit cards through PayPal, through your merchant card service, and I'm going to do it through TopSurfer.com and all that." And they said, "Great." They approved me. Everything was going great, and then all of a sudden, about 6 months ago, they froze my account completely. No questions asked. They won't talk to me or anything. So they are a great solution. They do have some great tools. They've recently remodeled their site, which has caused a lot of problems, but beware. What you're selling, completely make sure that what you're selling is okay with them, because they don't have very good customer service when it comes to if they think you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, they don't care. They'll just shut you right down. So with that being said, when they did that, I really, really, really searched hard for a good credit card processing company. I did a lot of research, and it was anyway. It came down to a few companies, and I contacted several of them, and a lot of them didn't even have a phone number on their website. But PaylineData.com did, and they are who I recommend if you want to start accepting credit cards. I mean, there's other ones like Square, Stripe, other things like that you can go to. And I actually applied to some of those to see if we could start using them with Top Surfer. And a lot of them rejected me and said I'm a high risk. And I said, "How am I high risk? I mean, if you look at my sales through, I can show you my sales through PayPal, and I rarely have any chargebacks, almost never." And matter of fact, PayPal even told me that when I was talking to a guy on the phone at PayPal. He even told me, "Oh, you rarely have any chargebacks or disputes." And I said, "Yeah, I know. And usually if I do, I take care of them really quickly." So anyway, so they looked at my Payline Data looked at my all my like the last 2 years or so of PayPal, all my transactions, and they said we don't even really consider you high risk. You're doing great, and so they gave me some really good rates. One of the reasons I do like them is because they have their own gateway. Because if you get a credit card processing company, you'll end up needing a gateway that you can process the card information through, and that's where it's all stored. And you can go, you have to log in somewhere and do refunds and things like that. Now, the majority of companies use Authorize.net for their gateway, which is great because Authorize.net integrates really well with regular shopping carts and things like that. Well, I don't use regular shopping carts. I actually am a programmer, and I write up my own what's called an API, where I can basically tunnel into their server and say, I give them my authorization, they let me in. It basically is just a short little code that gets the authorization on the card, comes back, says the card's approved, and it processes it. So they have their own gateway, and it works out great, and I like it. The gateway, can use a little improvement as far as there's a few little things that I don't like about it. But most companies use Authorize.net, and Authorize.net will charge you, I believe it's like $25 extra a month, plus they have a per transaction fee. So you do have to be careful with that. If you talk to a company and you say, do you accept payments online? Do you have your own gateway? So that kind of is good and it's kind of bad. Depends on if you're using a regular shopping cart or if you are going to be just um, you know building your own code or whatnot. So now we get down to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is very popular. It's a great way to process. We've added it to Top Surfer. I haven't had a huge amount of transactions go through Bitcoin. The one that I use to process Bitcoin, now I'm not going to go into explain everything that Bitcoin is, but basically it's an online currency, and the value of Bitcoin has gone up tremendously since it was originally created. So if you don't know what Bitcoin is, do yourself a favor and look into it. But I use a BitPay with Top Surfer, and I like it because one thing it does is I don't really want to hang on to Bitcoin, and actually, I mean, a lot of people do because of how much it goes up in value, and so they like to hold on to it for a while, and then then they'll sell it when they want to. But I'd much rather have the cash right now, so I didn't want to have to go through the hassle of getting the Bitcoin and going through all the steps of saying, somebody sends me some money, and now I got to go get it out of my wallet and get it into my pocket so I can go spend it on groceries or whatever. So I looked into a bunch of companies and I found BitPay, and I was really happy that BitPay offered a system where it will automatically convert it to dollars and deposit it right into my bank account. And so that was the great thing that I really liked about BitPay. And but however, if you do need to buy some Bitcoin, I understand that Coinbase, and I've used them once before. It was pretty easy to do, and it worked out well. So that's who I would recommend for that. Now, of course, I don't endorse any of these companies. I'm just telling you what I use and my experience. So use them at your own risk. But basically, one thing you do want to do is offer a couple of different methods of payment to your clients. I have found out that over the years, that's the best thing to do is offer a couple of different ways for people to pay, because you'll come along and some people I see them selling, just a product, and they say, well, I'll just sell it with PayPal, and I'm like, okay, that's fine, but some people just don't like PayPal. They would rather they get the impression that, oh, if it's through PayPal, I have to have a PayPal account, so I gotta go create an account, and I don't want people who don't understand PayPal don't understand that one, you can just pay with a credit card without creating an account, and two, it's not that bad to have an account where you can just transfer the money, but some people just don't want to do that, and so what you can do is you can say pay with PayPal or pay with your credit card, no account required. But still, you're kind of educating people, and you don't want to have to educate them when it comes time to check out. So, if you have the option to accept pure credit cards, that's the way to do it. I haven't regretted accepting credit cards. There are fees associated with it. You do have to be doing a fair amount of transactions per month. If you're doing $400 or $500 in transactions a month, it's probably worth it to you to look into credit card processing, and not look into just the regular ones like Stripe and Square. And there's probably some more out there like that, because some of those have some pretty high fees. But if you contact Payline Data, I'll put a link to them in the description of this video. If you go to YouTube and look at the video, there will be a link to Payline Data in there, and that's who I recommend to use. The link is my referral link, but I actually have made videos before where I've referred people to them, and I didn't realize that they had a referral link that I could be sharing. So I do appreciate it if you do use the link. If you are going to look into them, use my link to look into them. But yeah, that's who I recommend using, and that's these guys right here, Payline Data. And notice that they have a phone number right there on the thing, and if you call it during business hours, you'll get somebody. So I called it during business hours. I got somebody. I told them what I was doing. I told them I need to get it set up quickly, because PayPal, I told them straight up, PayPal had shut me down. I want to start accepting credit cards through someone else, and I need it quick. And they really hurried to get me up and running, and I think they had me up and running within 12 hours. And I'm not going to make any promises that that's what they can do for you, but that's what they did for me. So anyway, that's my recommendation and my tip of the week. I hope everyone has a good, safe week, and that you are successful as well. And we will see you at the top.